Hello again, everyone. Marcus here. I review stuff today. I'm reviewing the song Vulnerability by Operation Ivy. As usual, this song comes to you as a request from one of my viewers. So if you want to get your song reviewed, just do what they did. Leave it in the comments, and I'll be sure to add it to my list. My list is insanely long, so no guarantee that I get to it anytime soon. But at least it's there. I do read just about every comment that I get. So I do have a list, and it's very long. That's all I'm saying. All right. Anyway, so Vulnerability, Operation Ivy. I don't think I've ever heard anything from Operation Ivy. Kind of going in blind here and hoping for a good song. Not really sure what to expect. Looks like this came out, according to this, at least March 1989. So I'm expecting, maybe something a little bit not older sounding, but something in that vein of the 80s and maybe early 90s sound. So anyway, let's check it out. Operation Ivy, Vulnerability. Here we go. Wow, that was really short. I saw before I played, I saw the 2 minute runtime, but for some reason my brain was telling me that was going to be a little bit longer. But no, wow, that was short and sweet. I actually, spoiler alert, really liked that, and the reason I want to front load with that is because if you've watched my channel for a while, I have said multiple times that I am not the biggest fan of like punk rock. There's something about punk rock that I've never really been able to get behind. But every so often, like, there will be a song that kind of just breaks through that for me, where I'm like, yeah, okay, I really like that. I get it. And this is one of those songs, right? Like, you go back and I don't have a whole lot of like punk rock reviews on here because again, it's a genre that I don't really gravitate towards normally. But you can see my comments on some of them where I'm just like, yeah, man, it's just not for me. But this one, it scratched that itch. It did its job well. I liked it. So let's break it down piece by piece like we always do. Of course, starting with those lyrics. So I think one of the reasons I did like it as much as I did was because of the lyrical content. So I'm really excited to kind of talk about this one. Oh, it does say here, this song, I guess they moved, the About section used to be like right here. They moved the About section here. So I'm going to read this About section real quick. This song is based on an event that the band witnessed outside a Ramones concert. A drunk driver killed a rock photographer. Jesse said the people there were not connecting to the event and were keeping their social faces. Musically, it's influenced by Stiff Little Fingers, according to Jesse. Okay, let's take a look at those lyrics. I saw this guy go down. Wasn't time for fear before his body hit the ground. Our vulnerability is all our insensitivity. Car that hit him pulled to a stop. Driver hid his bottles. He anticipated cops. Our vulnerability is all our insensitivity. So I think that really kind of sells what the song is about, right? That um, as people we have made ourselves vulnerable by not willing to be sensitive to other people's needs, right? Like essentially we're hurting ourselves by not caring about other people. And I think that is essentially the main theme of the song, right? As you keep reading, crowd assembled to take a look at death, shattered skull, fractured body, black top running red. Our vulnerability is all our insensitivity. And people look bored like expecting more. People look bored like expecting more. Our vulnerability is all our insensitivity. And sympathy is only friendship's whore. And maybe we don't know who we are anymore. And another spectacle, and it's respectable to take it lightly like another TV show. So desensitized, so dehumanized. Why stop and think when you can find some place to go? So, one thing I've said that I really enjoy on my channel is when the the lyrics and the instrumentation and vocals don't necessarily match up, right? When you have a very happy and fun sounding song that is actually really dark in its lyrics, or vice versa, right? You have something that is really kind of fun and happy in its lyrics, but it's played a little bit heavier, or it's part of like a heavy metal ensemble or something. This is one of those where like the whole theme of the lyrics is sensitivity, sympathy, being a human, being tuned into the needs and the suffering of others, right? But it's played in this fast-paced kind of like sharp-edged punk rock way, and it's like I can see how one might expect the lyricism to be more aligned with like fighting back, or fuck the system, that kind of thing, when really all he's saying here is that like we as people have lost some of our humanity. We are desensitized to things like violence and tragedy because we just see it so much, and that is causing us to open ourselves up to this vulnerability of not being sensitive, not being keyed into those things, right? So uh, I really appreciate that about this song, that they're willing to, again, as a sort of punk rock. I'm assuming they are largely a punk rock band, but that's like a punk rock band that is known for again like being defiant and maybe even being angry sometimes. That they are willing to just say like, guys, we got to be more sensitive. We got to be more keyed into the needs and the suffering of others. Like kudos to them for sort of taking that stance lyrically in this song. And again, it's like you wouldn't expect that if you had just heard like the way the vocals had been delivered, or the way the instrumentation is being played. So anyway, we're drowning. Our vulnerability is all our insensitivity. We're drowning. Our vulnerability is all our insensitivity, and it's gonna be the death of us. Just you wait and see. I like that he puts like that nice little pin in it. Like if we don't figure out how to take care of each other, then we're all gonna suffer. We're all gonna die. That kind of thing. So lyrically, like I said, I really like this one. I'm gonna give it 2 big thumbs up there. As far as the instrumentation and vocals go, it was, I think vocally I was like, oh, this guy's voice is very harsh. But again, as I read through the lyrics, I was like, okay, I can live with that because of the content that he's delivering lyrically, and it really wasn't too bad. Even when he was kind of like singing near the end, it was fine. So there was that. As far as the instrumentation goes, to me, it's your standard, just like heavy punk rock riff. I don't think they did anything too out there. Honestly, I was feeling like, and I know that guitar solos aren't like big in punk rock, but I was feeling like, man, a guitar solo would go really well back here in the back. Again, that just shows my bias towards certain types of rock. But I think overall, instrumentally, vocally, it was good. It was good. I'm going to give it a thumb up there as well. As far as replay value goes, honestly, I think this one makes my playlist. Again, I established at the beginning, not the biggest fan of punk rock, but this one kind of did it for me. And again, I think the lyrics did a lot to carry that for me. But the instrumentation and vocals, I think, were good enough that I'm like, yeah, I would listen to this again for sure. So give it another thumb up for replay value overall. really good song. Thank you so much for whoever requested this one. As always, if you enjoyed the music, go support the artists. Go listen to their music wherever you can. Not sure if these guys are still around, but if they are, I'm sure they would, appreciate your support. And speaking of support, if you want to support the channel, like and subscribe and comment, all those things that you do on YouTube. That keeps me on your algorithm, and hey, maybe even flings me over to someone else's too, so that helps out a lot. And as always, you can check the description to follow me on Twitch, TikTok, or Instagram. Alright guys, that's going to be it for the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye for now.